Oh, hi everyone, how are we going? Please feel free, it's a massive room, so please feel free to come together and be closer with us. I don't know who these seats are reserved for. You got any VIPs coming?
No.
So please feel free. This is going to be a little bit different to maybe a normal session in that we don't have slides. No slides, no dot points. I'm going to draw a few little pictures, just explaining how we see the world, and then we're going to demo some stuff to you. But the whole point of this is for you to learn some stuff, right? I'm guessing it's why you're here. So please, any questions, throw them out as we go. We have 75 minutes. We've been up here trying to work out how the hell we're going to fill 75 minutes. So we're hoping to give you some time in your day back. Maybe you can make that up later, come to our booth and have a beer with us. That sounds like a good plan, hey? If we give you 15 minutes, is that worth a beer? There we go. All right, so please come down. We do things a little bit differently at LiveTiles, which the T-shirt and Eric's jacket may indicate. So I'm going to introduce you to our CEO and co-founder, Karl Redenbach. He's going to give you, I guess, a little bit of perspective on how he's seeing what's happening with digital transformation, with all the sorts of customers he talks with, from the Nikes of the world, PepsiCo, those types of organisations, the US Marines, etc. As he talks, I'm going to try and visualise what he's talking about. I am not an illustrator, it'll be terrible, but hopefully it'll give you just that easier way to understand what we're talking about. He's then going to chuck over to me, and I'm going to show you some of our stuff. Some of it is brand new, has not been seen in the world before this week at Ignite. And then Erik here, my chief architect, and I should have said I'm Simon, I'm the chief product officer. That might have been a good start too. My chief architect is here, so any developers in the room, etc., any questions, feel free to throw them out at us. And as I say, make it interactive, get involved. That's what you're here for, and that's what we're here for as well. So does that sound like a plan? Cool, all right. I'll now hand over to Karl, and he'll explain to you what we see happening with the jigsaw of digital transformation. Karl.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, I've got your attention. So firstly, thanks for coming. I'm going to very briefly talk about what we're doing in the intelligent workplace and what we're doing, which we think is a world's first. Ultimately, LiveTiles, we are a user experience company. And you're probably aware, and Simon will touch this, there are a lot of solutions out there. In fact, if I ask you, and let's just do this, I probably don't normally do this in a session, pull out your mobile phone. Okay, so pull it out, bring it up.
Not you, Owen, it's a Windows phone.
It's a Windows phone there. And a couple of really very interesting things about this. If I asked this room 10 years ago to pull this thing out, how many of you would you have pulled out something that looks like this, a personal computer? So that's a first point. That was only 10 years ago. Let's look at this thing now. Have a look at your screen. Just look at it. What do you see? Can someone show me their phone, their home screen? Can you flick through? Well, you're very organised. So for some organised people, we've got some, many different apps. What do I see there? I see an Outlook app. I see LinkedIn, sort of quite different. But in fact, one of the screens there I think someone's not deleting their apps. Who deletes apps, by the way? Who's an app? Oh, okay, half the room. Wow. But what I see when I look at this is a bunch of different applications, very obvious point. But if you think about how does that apply to the workplace, it is becoming more confusing today. If you look at what end users need to do, what they need to interact with, there are more apps that anybody can buy. We have certain customers that use 5 different document management systems in the one department. Google Drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, Dropbox, Box. That's the one department using those 5 systems, let alone the other 1,000 systems they have to access. So how can we make this simpler, make the complex simple? And that's essentially what we try to do as a business. So we're going to talk about something that you may or may not have heard of, something called a DXP. Who here has heard of a DXP? Put your hand up. DXP. Wow, no one. All right. So you may have heard it from me first. And in 10 years' time, the word DXP will be as familiar as CRM, ERP, collaboration. But DXP stands for Digital Experience Platform. Both Forrester and Gartner are referring to this term. In fact, we know there are magic quadrants that are about to be released very shortly around this term. So what is a digital experience platform? Firstly, let's talk about what you've currently done for the last 30 years. And that is, you might have a SQL server. You might have an SAP. All of these systems are boxes that have physically been on your premise. Now, this thing, and I was here at the Inspire conference many years ago, and I was at many partner conferences. I've been in the Microsoft ecosystem for nearly 12 years. Sorry, 12 years? 17 years, what am I talking about? A very long time. This thing called the cloud came along. Now, the cloud said, guess what, guys? We're going to take all those boxes, and we're going to stick them into the cloud. Is that transformational for a business? Is that truly transformational for a business? I'm going to argue it isn't. Then a whole raft of cloud apps came out. It could be Salesforce. It could be Marketo. It could be Dynamics. Obviously, Office 365. A whole bunch of them came out. And there's literally an enterprise app coming out every 60 seconds across the world, doing some custom bespoke thing. And if you ask anyone at any university, they will tell you, I'm working on a startup. And that startup is to do ABC. And it's usually an app of some description, right? So, interesting. And is our world less complicated because of all of these things? So then we are also, to make it even more complicated for the enterprise, we have these other things, another cloud, which are internet providers like Facebook, or let's say social collaboration, YouTube, Twitter. The list goes on and on. All right. And really what we've seen, particularly over the last 20 or 30 years, and let's say use SAP as an example, the IT function have come along, and we have one customer that we know that has 850 people in their SAP team. They're usually very expensive people, $150,000 plus resources, and they're building on top of SAP every day. One of the guys from Gartner, his name's Andy Kyatt, describes these legacy systems as big, steaming piles of dung. Dung of complexity. And what happens when our good friends and that 850-person SAP team constantly custom develop on top of that stack? They are making that pile of dung bigger, stinkier, smellier, more complicated. And that's what's happening. And this is what's been going on for the last 20 or 30 years. Okay, so what is a DXP? I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to say, you may have heard it the first time from me, but in the next 10 years, there will be a number of key DXP players in the market. And I don't believe they will be Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, Google. It will be an agnostic player that tries to bring this complicated world and make it sense for an end user. So as an example, one of the things that DXP espouses is this concept of modern mobile experiences. So how do we get there? We build an API layer across the top of this. Stop building all of that crap. Stop it. Let's think about this in a smarter way. Let's start bridging those silos of information rather than trying to create and develop on top of these things. Let's create a simple API layer to it. And then let's create modern mobile experiences. And you're able to create as many of these quickly as you like. Now, one of the key things with the modern mobile experience is it could pull from any of these bits of information. It could be something from SAP, it could be something from Box, and we can create a myriad of different experiences for very particular reasons. What we do as a company, we focus on the user experience, the use case. And the other key element, and this is what Simon's going to demonstrate to you, is the fact that we can make these continuously improved. So by the way, don't think that this cloud stuff here, just run over here to show you, this cloud here is going to get crazier. It's going to get crazier, I can tell you that. You have people in your departments right now getting their credit card out and buying Hoop-de-Loop. You've never even heard of it. You don't even know what it does, but they're buying it now. How are we going to connect that into an experience if we need to collaborate on that information? So it's happening. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, that's what's going on. So, and Simon will show you this, we have a platform which we think is a world's first, which allows you to build these experiences literally in minutes and seconds of time without code. It's drag and drop and it makes it easier. We announced on Sunday a world's first. Simon's going to show it. I'm not going to spoil his thunder, but it is a world's first in AI using the Azure Bot framework, using cognitive services, and really is another experience around DXPs. We can now bring this user experience, this personalization, and importantly, the continual improvement. How many projects have you delivered? And by the way, as a little sort of side note on where I came from, I ran a systems integrator business for 15 years. And I would walk into the biggest companies in the world, and they would pay me $2 million to design a beautiful portal experience, which did sort of what this does. But guess what? That was 5 years ago, and they still have that same system. It has not changed today. They are still using that very same system. And that is not continually improved. And as this craziness keeps on going down, as the chaos keeps on going, you now have the opportunity, and what we're providing, and certainly what Simon's going to show you, is a very unique and different way, whether it's through portals or whether it's through conversational UI, we think is going to be truly transformational. I'm going to use the A word, and I hope I don't get struck down on the stage. Amazon. You see what they're doing in their home with the Echo. You can see what Google are doing at their home product. Interestingly enough, Amazon, if you ask Alexa, buy batteries, it says, yes, here's a 12-pack of batteries, it's $8.99. And there's two fascinating things about when you ask Alexa those questions. Firstly, it doesn't ask me if it's Duracell or Energizer. It just says, but batteries. So what's happening with brands? It's starting to kill brands. We think in a similar way, something may happen in the enterprise software space. Do you really care where your document goes? Do you care if it's in OneDrive or Dropbox or Box? Don't you just want to save your document and get to it? It's a brand, right? It's a brand. The other fascinating thing with the Alexa and what Amazon are doing, and this is the most fascinating bit, is that when I buy the batteries at $8.99, it is cheaper for me to buy via voice than using the Amazon app. Anywhere between 15 to 20% cheaper. So what is Amazon doing? They are forcing consumers to start using the voice for a buying process because it's cheaper. It's a great strategy. What a fantastic strategy. So if you think AI, conversational UI, is not coming, I can tell you now it's coming, and it's here, and there are strategies in place that these companies are using that are going to make sure it is going to succeed. So look out for it. So having said all that, I'm now going to pass it back to my good friend Simon, who's going to really talk about some of the new things we're doing in this space.
Thanks, Karl. As you can see, enthusiastic. So the DXP acronym is something that the likes of Gartner, etc., are really latching onto, and you're going to see more and more and more of it coming out. And we've been talking to Gartner for quite a while about what it all means and our perspective on it, which is really about, at the end of the day, it's how your users interact with the technology you're trying to provide, correct? All the back-end stuff, all the plumbing, all the stuff that some people in this room probably toil away for hours doing doesn't make any meaningful sense if users aren't deriving value out of it and using it. Okay, and you only see that with Microsoft and their entire obsessive focus now on consumption. KPIs and their scorecards within the Microsoft field around people actually using stuff, because they know if they don't use Office 365 or they don't use the full range of E5 capabilities they've just paid for, they're not going to renew. Okay, so it's a very different business model, and cloud, SaaS, all has that, because users can change so quickly. And the example I give is the marketing team who got sick of waiting for IT, and we've seen this in one of our customers, to give them a simple file sharing synchronization service so they could share creative briefs with their agencies. So what did they do? Did they wait for IT? They went and signed up to Box. Not too long later, SharePoint died as the official document management system, and that company signed a $10 million a year deal with Box. And it started with one team saying, basically, screw you, we're going to solve this problem ourselves. And that could happen across task management. Let's jump onto Trello. It can happen with CRM, obviously, with the growth of Salesforce. HR, Workday. Who's heard of Workday? one of the fastest growing SaaS companies ever. And they do HR systems in the cloud. People are jumping off SAP R3 and the HR module, and they're jumping onto Workday. Okay, in fact, one of our guys who works in a central region of the US said every single customer he knows who uses HR and SAP is moving, in the process of moving to Workday, right? Because it's going to be easier for them in the long term. So what does all that mean? It means a way you need to make sense of it all and piece it all together. Ideally, it's a way that your users can make sense of it all and piece it all together, and that's what we try to do. So I'm just going to use my very, very good drawing skills that you saw earlier and just explain it. I didn't want to bore you with slides. I wanted to bring you into my world and how my team, the product team, where we're split between Australia and West Coast of the US, how we sort of think about it and how we're starting to put in place the things, or the building blocks of what we think a DXP will be over the coming years. And then I'm going to show you it all in action. If you want to come and play with it, you can come and see us out of stand. So the first thing I'm going to show you is what we've been known for. Has anyone heard or a customer of LiveTiles in this room already? We've got one here, very happy man, of course, and up the back, extremely happy, I'm sure. Right? They know us for a product, sits on top of Office 365, and I don't want to talk it down. It's a very powerful product. We're very proud of it, Erik and I. But what it does digital page experiences. Okay? So what you're going to see me do in the demo is I'm going to go into SharePoint. I'm going to start creating a page that looks nothing like SharePoint, brings in all sorts of stuff, and I'll show you a few different things. Okay? The page I'm going to be doing, you could build in 15 minutes, if that. Okay? Then you can hand it over to users, and you can say, look, we've given you the starting point. Masters of your own destiny. And I look at a company like PepsiCo, who have over 500 people in one division designing these experiences every day. Why? Because IT said we need to get out of the way of your success. As long as you work within the framework, the IA, the governance models, that the users, quite frankly, don't actually care about, right? But we're going to give you the ability to change the experience, the thing you think the system is, the thing you click, you touch, you interact with, the thing where you get your content from. They know that the Walmart team is different to the Costco team. They're different people. They actually potentially use different tools, or the way they use the tools might be different. So why try and force everyone down the same path? But that's what we've been known for, and we've been doing that for the last 3 years and have a lot of customers doing all sorts of very cool stuff. We deploy also into the cloud in Azure. And we got a cosmetics company, one of the major ones, who just needed a real simple thing, and this sounds crazy. They wanted to be able to have a really simple UI where they could pull in all the brand activity of their competitors. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And they wanted to be able to just have that all in one place contextually, but then be able to kick off other processes internally around what are we going to do about what they're saying, that type of thing. It got built in, I think, what was it, Maddie, a week or something about that? Yep. In our cloud product, marketing manager gets up on stage now and raves about how it's transformed the way their team has competitive intelligence. It's not a big CRM system. It's not a big marketing automation system. It's just putting the content in a place where the users know they can get it and putting it in context of the collaboration processes and other information they might need. Does that make sense? Okay, so very quick, very high value, and they spent literally nothing to do it. So that's pages. Then we went, okay, well, how are we going to transform what you can do with mobile experience? And we looked at what's happened with native apps. Who's done native apps in their organisation here? One. It was a very slow hand. How'd it go? Yep. Done lots. That's the answer I was looking for, so thank you. You can build great native apps. Right? But one of the things we've seen in organisations is they'll get the project to build the app, and they'll get the team together, and they get the budget. So they build the app and they deploy it. And then the users say, that's great, that app, but now we want it to do this. And they go back to that team. The team, oh, actually, well, we're on another thing now. Right? It doesn't take long before that user says, the app's not good for me, even though you might have met every requirement. And I call this the toddler effect. Who has kids? Who has toddlers? What happens if your toddler's screaming at you and you give them exactly what they want? Are they happy forever? No, what, you might get 5 minutes, right? Users are toddlers, right? Give them exactly what they want, their needs mature, they change. They didn't think that was possible before with that great native app. They didn't think IT would deliver. You did, So now they want something new. So how do you adopt that? So we added a little simple MX capability. So you can build out your digital pages. I'll show you that. You can say, right, we want to wrap this up into a discrete application for that user or that use case or that division, whatever it is. And I talked to an airline who tried to ram down the throat of the pilots the same portal experience they built for flight crew. And the pilot said, swear, 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 we are not flight crew. We run this airline. Right? Complete egotistical pricks. But that's how they think. A guy gets on PowerPoint on a transatlantic international flight and designs the portal. 9 boxes on a page. Walks into a meeting when he gets back to the HQ, slams it on the table of the team and says, see, I told you we weren't flight crew. But then they start to think, well, what about check-in? What about baggage handlers? Are they all the same needs? Do they all have the same desire to read the VP of Corporate Comms' latest news updates? Or do they have different needs? Okay, so they're thinking multiple intranet experiences target at specific users. And what MX lets you do is package it up so they feel they're getting something new, unique just for them. Might be the same thing as the other group, but to them it's a different thing. And then we looked at it and said, okay, what's coming? And AI is what's coming, it's here. But AI is manifesting itself in enterprise and both consumer world through an actual very simple, small slither of AI called, does anyone want to have a guess? Chatbots. It really started to take off. It's been around quite a while. They were pretty dumb. It really took off last year at F8, Facebook's big conference, when they announced Facebook Messenger bots. Facebook Messenger has over 100,000 bots, right? The active use of them is extremely low and the failure rate is extremely high. Most of them are really bad experiences. And in what's happening in the consumer world is everyone's saying we need a bot. We're going to sell more of this if we have a bot. The problem with bots is if they're a bad experience, people just drop off. And if you want an example, anyone got the Ignite app on their phone? Try the Ignite bot. So, I'm going to show you how we think we can address that because I know of a company, $200,000 into a bank for a bot POC that they never launched. That is crazy, right? So how are we going to address that? Because they're not going to go away and there are some very big benefits and incredibly powerful technology available to us. We'll show you some thoughts on that as well with a new thing we're doing. Now, underpinning all of this, so I've got conversational UI, we've got digital experiences, we've got mobile, tailored experiences being delivered. We then need to think about the intelligence layer. Okay? So I'm going to show you some of the early stuff we're doing. It's quite cool. Taps into the pages capability of what we're doing, but I want to also walk you through where we're going with it because we believe it's more than just telling you what's happening, what's not working. Right? It's more than just analytics. It's more than putting Google Analytics onto your SharePoint portal or Google Analytics onto the web app you've done. It's about having very, very specific understanding of what's working, what's not on your experience, but more importantly, what do you do about it? So who here runs something like Google across portals, intranets, etc. within their organisation? Wow, never had that. So the next question's a bit mute. Who looks at it? Right? When I get a show of hands to that and I ask who looked at it, most of the hands go down. Who here runs analytics type products across their public website? Yep. Do you have teams of people who look at that, understand it, and fix it if it's broken? Don't fix it, okay? Right? Would Coca-Cola.com ignore a drop-off in the conversion funnel that they want to try and achieve? No way in hell. What they do is they have teams of people whose job it is to analyse all of that, understand it, go and sit down with their agencies and work out what they can do differently about it. And you've got to ask yourself, why aren't you doing that for systems that you're also spending a lot of money on behind the firewall? The final piece of the puzzle is, once you understand how you might improve something, how do you know it's going to work? So who runs regular usability testing, split variant testing, A/B testing on internal systems? Right? No way you would do your website without doing that stuff. So once again, why aren't you? So we'll touch on that as well. So what starts to happen? is this starts to happen. Into the intelligence, giving you insights and recommendations back, allowing you to test it, feeding into mobile experiences, and I'll talk about that. And for bots, oh, they disappear. For bots, that can be a whole bunch of other stuff like Teams, Slack, Facebook Messenger, and we'll talk about that as well. But underpinning all of it, right at the center of this journey, is that API platform, how you link all this stuff together. And I'll explain that as I'm demoing. But even more important than all of the technology to us and what underpins everything we do as a company and our product philosophy is you. And by you, I don't mean all your users. What we focus on is you, sir, trying to build stuff that will make your users happy. Okay? Trying to deliver value so you can actually get value out of the technology that the company's investing in. Right? And that's who we focus on. Our customers are the people who use our stuff to build stuff for their customers. Okay? So let's jump into a demo. Are there any questions? Anything? No? So where we're going to start, I'm going to discard all of that. No, I'll keep it. It's really good. Show my kids. Okay. Let's start with the page design tool. So this is Office 365, if you can see. This is a SharePoint site. Doesn't really look like anything in SharePoint. Okay, we've got some new stuff, we've got some icons, we've got some Power BI coming in, we've got a calendar down the side, etc., 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 some embedded videos. So this is what would be a classic intranet landing page, maybe a department site, etc. Now, the obvious question is, well, can't we do that in SharePoint with custom dev? Yeah. Microsoft's starting to limit you a bit more with some of the things they're doing in terms of real customization. But this is what Karl and I used to make a lot of money doing. A lot of money. Charging people to build stuff like this that would take months to deliver. And the thing that really used to do our heads in, as Karl said before, we knew that once we'd finished the projects and walked out the door, nothing would be changed. The budget had been spent, the team had been disbanded, and had gone into BAU, the place where intranets go to die. Okay? One of our customers, I can't name who they are, but not that long ago, a few years ago, they won Intranet of the Year globally awards. They'd spent somewhere in the vicinity of, I think it was around 3 to 6 million, we're not exactly sure. Right? They got a value out of it, they got an award, nice certificate. Right? The team got laid off. It went into BAU and IT. Within 12 months, that intranet was dead. It had over 90% adoption prior to that. So that just shows you, even though what you spend, how great it may be, if you don't constantly evolve to user needs, they jump off like flies. Because things like intranets, portals, etc., generally aren't mission critical. Okay? You can generally find ways around things. They're not the ERP, the logistics supply chain system, or the finance system, where literally, if you don't use it, you probably can't complete your daily tasks for your job. So let's talk about how this comes together. When you deploy it into our product, and as I say, we also deploy to cloud, so if you don't have SharePoint, you can still get value, like the cosmetics company I was referring to. We go into a design canvas, and you've got infinite possibilities on how you lay this out. Okay? Fully responsive. You can choose how you want to lay out the grid you're using. You can choose what happens when we go down to mobile breakpoints. So if I just close here. Okay, what's going to happen here? Are we going to squash down? Do I like that? No, maybe I want to keep that still at a 50-50 column split, that type of thing. And it's all done visually in the browser, a canvas for the page, and it is the page. Right? We've got a wireframe mode that looks like balsamic mock-ups. If any of you have used that in early stages of the projects, have a workshop where you're building it out with the users there and then. Put it in sketch mode so the marketing team don't hassle you on the right colours, right, or the right fonts. And then when you get the function, the form, the layout, the integration points agreed, flip over to high fidelity and go from there. To build out this page beyond layout, a whole bunch of built-in capabilities. So Power BI, Office 365 groups, Outlook, etc. But it goes beyond that. Facebook, Twitter. We've got Workplace by Facebook stuff. We are seeing that all over the place. And all you do is you drag you drop, and you configure. So for example, I'm just going to drag a really simple thing on. A simple rectangle. That can link up to a system potentially. We can change all its colours, and we can choose where it goes. Does it slide from the left, from the right, modal, etc., etc. So you're building pretty complex, beautiful experiences in the browser on top of Office 365 very, very quickly. But as I said before, more importantly, you're changing it, or you're letting your users change it. They can't break it. You've still got all the benefits of SharePoint, version control, all of that stuff under the hood, but you can actually allow them to get some say in how these experiences work and then deliver it to mobile very, very easily. So that's great, but what about that thing I said about how do you know if it's working? So if I just split over to here, where did we put it? It's here. So we announced on Sunday night our intelligence platform, and the first manifestation of that that's coming out is Insights. So that's going to give you what you'd be pretty familiar with a bunch of analytical platforms, right? It's going to be who's visiting it, how often, where are they coming from, what devices, etc. You'll be able to match that by using user profile information to 30% of my visitors are from finance, for example. But I'd argue that's actually not very useful. And in SharePoint now, you do get some site usage statistics, but I argue that's not particularly useful because it's not actually telling you what part of this experience is not working. Or I might be hitting my daily users I expect to get, but are they actually interacting with the important things? Because not everything on this page is equal. So the Insights piece gives us that data. But then we can go down to heat map mode. Just a real simple visualization. So the use case here is, if that news carousel, corporate comms has said you must have on this intranet portal, whatever, is it working? 3% interaction, okay? So we can start to think about why. Now I've mocked this data up, but to give an example, that would be a problem if that is an important thing in this page. Or if it's not an important thing, it's a problem. It is the most prominent position on this experience. It takes up a lot of space. It's in the first place that most users look when they hit a site. So what can we do about it? Well, you can change it. Just like you saw me before. Go in, move it around, try some different things. LiveTiles intelligence. Well, I just noticed it's got translation. Is it working? I didn't see that before. The system will start to say, you know what, we think we know why this mightn't be working. And we're going to basically, the term we've used in the team is, what about if we could get everyone building experiences, their own little designer in the pocket, right? With their own black skivvy, their own hat, black rimmed glasses, and you've got your own designer sitting next to you. What would you be able to do? So the system will start to tell you, well, it might be layout, placement, or it might be something as simple as 73% of the visitors to this page, this site, this experience are from mobile, and you've designed the mobile experience in that you're hiding that thing. That's why your usage is down. They're never even seeing it. Oh, geez, we didn't mean to do that. Untick, hide it, run a test. So that's the third part. Let's run a variant test. And in fact, we're really worried about the usage in the finance team because this is actually an important experience for them, right, to support their collaboration processes, for example. Let's run a split test for the next week with the finance team. So when someone from finance hits this, they get randomly sent to either variation of this page. System will come back and say, we got an interaction uplift of 15%. Would you like to make that change? Yes, I would. Bang. Your page is done, okay? So we call it actionable insights, collecting the data right down to page component levels, delivering that in a really simple way, but then trying to give you some recommendations and ideas on how to improve it. Now that could be technical people in an IT team, could be a UX team if you're getting those into your company, or it could be somebody sitting in a department somewhere who's been tasked with doing their department portal, like a PepsiCo, for example, or the Walmart site. So that's the insights. So the last bit is bots. Who here's tried bots in their company? Yep. Using Azure? Yep. Did it go well? Just getting started? Yep. It's pretty complex, a lot of it. There's a lot of moving parts. So the key thing to the Microsoft platform about bots, and look, Google's no different, Facebook's no different, Amazon's no different. There's the bot framework. That's really the how does the bot come together, what channels does it support, etc. So Microsoft is called the Azure Bot Framework. And then there's Microsoft Cognitive Services. So that's where Microsoft are rolling in a lot of their AI stuff. The key part for a bot is a thing called LUIS, the Language Understanding Interpretation Service. That is the natural language processing algorithms. And it is a big black box, right? And the way they work is you try and explain it to a layperson with the terms that Microsoft uses or any of them use, their eyes glaze over. What they do is they look for an utterance. Show me X. From that, they infer an intent. What do you want me to do? And that tells it where it needs to go and what actions it performs. The thing about natural language processing is it's all based on probability. Show me X. I'm 63% sure that what you want it to do is this. Now, if your bot gets really complex and is trying to meet too many needs for too many different users, the language models can start to get confused. So you've got to constantly retrain them, constantly tweak them. Now, you can do that. The problem is most people don't. So that Ignite bot should not be failing to understand the utterance, when is the next keynote. If there's one thing that bot should do, it's give you the schedule of the things at this conference. Wouldn't you agree? Right? It definitely shouldn't fall over with Erik saying, hi. Should come back with hi, but it's not. And that's because not enough time has been spent thinking about how users are going to use bots. So we also announced at Ignite this week what we're looking to do with bots. And the key thing to understand here is the underlying philosophy of what we're doing. We see no different to the Pages experience, the mobile experience, as I mentioned. We just see conversational UI chat as another way for a user to interact with stuff, right? And just like Karl said, in a DXP world, that stuff could be anywhere, all different types of systems, and could be different. So the HR bot needs to talk to certain things, and those certain things are different to the finance bot. Would everyone agree? Right? But even beyond that, the expectation of the user of how the HR bot might interact with them might be different. The personality might be different. And what we've found in our testing over the past 6 to 9 months of all this stuff is that because it's just chat, it's a cursor that you type, people start to think it's like chatting to a friend. SMS, WhatsApping, etc. And the moment it doesn't understand them, they get really, really frustrated, right? Whereas they might put up with a bit of frustration of the cognitive load of a really badly designed form, right? But in a chatbot world, the UI is so stripped back. If you don't get it right, you're basically dead. So what we're going to start doing here is we're going to start building out a bot. Now, we've got a partner in PricewaterhouseCoopers in Asia Pacific who's talking to customers about why don't you just give everybody their own bot and let them decide what their assistant should do. If we were going to do that without technology, we wanted to free up all of your employees' time by taking away low-value, menial, repetitive tasks, which bots are actually good at, we'd give them executive assistants, because that's what we do for the CEO. There's a solution, and they go, we can guarantee productivity improvements. We can't guarantee cost effectiveness or scale, but we can guarantee productivity improvements. But if you take that analogy a little bit further, what we'd do generally in tech is we'd go, right, let's go and get an executive assistant. We'd hire one and clone them for every employee, and every employee would get the same executive assistant. Now, I can almost categorically guarantee that is going to fail, because the way Erik's EA interacts with him, the things that he wants them to do, the way he wants them to do it, are going to be very different to Karl, because their personality types are very, very different, okay? So PwC thinks about this and says, why is that any different in the digital world? So what we're going to do, we're going to create Bob, and Bob's going to be my bot. Now, this mightn't be every user. You mightn't be able to go to that length, but Bob is going to be an onboarding bot, for example, or a finance bot, or a HR bot, and thinking about chatbots for very discrete, specific use cases, because the simpler they are, the better they will be. So let's make Bob look like a hipster. What's going to happen here is this will define the personality, custom vocabularies on the fly of how this bot will work. The verbose Bob is going to constantly natter at you. You sure I want to do this? You sure you want to book the meeting? I might want that because I don't trust Bob, right? But then I start to trust Bob and I get sick of all that and I just want the command-only Bob, right? So you can start somewhere, change it as you go, and that will change the way the bot interacts with you. So let's go here. And let's add booking meetings to start with. Right, so Bob's starting to come into existence, but let's go and really light up Bob with some functionality. So we now have a visual design canvas for bots sitting on Microsoft's Azure Bot Framework and Cognitive Services platforms. And as you've seen, it's been pretty quick. At the moment, Bob doesn't do much. He books meetings, checks my next meeting, etc. Let's give Bot some other things he can do. I like this one because if you show this to a finance person, you'll win the bot war. And let's do a Q&A bot. I like that one because it shows a few things, and maybe we'll add in planner as well. Now this is just the start of what we're going to do. You can expect to see abilities around Salesforce, Marketo, MailChimp, Jira, etc., etc. The help desk one there, I won't add it now because I think the system's gone to sleep on me. That talks to ServiceNow. Okay, what's the status of my ticket in ServiceNow? Don't have to go and log into ServiceNow. Okay. The other interesting one we're going to have, which has been, I've been actually amazed at the interest in this from customers who we've been working on this with, is what we're going to call the Magic Assistant. Sounds really cool. All it does is passes you off to a real person, right? Because at points in the chain, you may need to speak to someone, and you'll be able to configure that to say, well, if they hit this, or if we get this information, pass them off to this group of people. And then they will be able to go into the chat and see the history so far and take over a human-to-human contact. Okay? We had one energy company who said that is the only ability they're going to give their bots because they don't think they've got any hope in hell of integrating with any of their systems, but it'd be really nice if people knew who to speak to. Right? I was a bit shocked at that, but anyway, if it works for them, good luck. So let's start chatting to bot. In fact, let's just do some simple stuff, as I mentioned, just to show the reconfiguration of Bob. Let's change him. He's now Bob the bot. Okay. Let's make him look like Harvey Specter. Okay, if you're going to do a legal bot for your legal team, make it Harvey. Right, let's start doing some stuff. So let's go show sales chart. So what's going to happen here? Oh. Right. That Excel ability, because I linked it to the sales revenue spreadsheet, the language models interpreted show sales chart, come back to the bot framework and said, I know what your intent is. You want me to go and grab that chart from that spreadsheet you told me to look at. So that is a chart snapshot live from Excel. That chart could be driven by Power BI or another data source. So if you think about how do we light up data into this type of thing really easily, Excel's gold. And then by using the Excel ability, point it at the spreadsheet, have a named item in there, and the bot can learn what to do with it. I could also ask it to give me a particular cell value. What is the value of cell C6? Now, I'm the accountant. I know what C6 is, but I'm not in front of my computer. I don't have the Excel sheet handy, but I need that number. I'm about to walk into a meeting, right? So you can even go to that level. So let's jump and ask Bob to do some different things for us. I want to see what I've got going on in Planner. Okay, so Bob's gone, okay, you're talking about Planner, let's show you your buckets, and then I can dive down into the various things that's got going for me. Okay, so one task, etc. I can then click at that, be taken to that task in Planner, or ask Bob to do something about that task for me or create another task. The final one I want to show is I'm telling Bob now, switch over to knowledge-based mode. Now, who's heard of a thing called Q&A Maker? Yep. So who here thinks that a FAQ question and answer style bot might be useful for some people in their organisations? IT, self-help, that type of thing. So go and check out Q&A Maker, qamaker.ai, right? Yep, I'm getting there. It allows you to very quickly build a Q&A matching language model. Question, answer, question, answer. What I'm about to show you is one that I built in less than 5 minutes by pulling in our public product knowledge base. It wasn't perfect, but it was close enough. You can load up PDFs, and it tries to work out Q&A matching as well. So if you've got an FAQ currently in a PDF, you can put that in and go from there. The problem with Q&A Maker, it's quite simple. It also takes, I think it's 4 technical steps by your Azure admin to actually get it in the hands of users. And you've got to know what channels you want. You're nodding, you've gone through this. Yep. You've got to know what channels it's going to do. Do you want Teams? Do you want Skype? Do you just want web chat? Do you want email? And you've got to know all of that before you can publish it and actually get in the hands of users. So I've built my knowledge base around our product, and I've told Bob switch modes to knowledge base. What's actually happening here is quite complex. It is talking to a completely different language model to the one I was interacting with before. So the QA is now part of Bob's general capability. So I'm just going to ask Bob. It's also interesting that people don't, very quickly in bots, stop posing questions. They go to keywords, a bit like search, just something by the by that we found in our testing. So SharePoint versions. Bob goes off to the Q&A thing I've done and says, I've got that. Here's the versions that LiveTiles supports. Okay? I can't stress enough, that is a completely different language system to the one that Bob was working with before. Okay? And finally, what's going to happen with LiveTiles bots, and we don't have it here to show you today, but it's not far off being in there. All this white space. Oh, hello, Simon. All that blank space where you think, geez, that's bad design, LiveTiles. Why do you have all that white space, right? That's going to allow you to dynamically change Bob's understanding. So this is where a user can come in, and for the meeting ability, they don't want to say book meeting. They want to say set some stuff up. I don't know why. That's what they want to do, right? And you'll be able to go in and change that. You'll also be able to go in, and this is where the LiveTiles intelligence platform comes to play. What's actually working here? Cancel meeting is not succeeding. Why is that? Oh, they're not asking for it like that. They're asking for it another way. So you'll be able to, as the user, as the bot designer, go in and change that. And that is dynamically updating the algorithms in the language processing model. Okay? So trying to bring all of that to the fore, make it really easy so you can constantly evolve and improve your bot. And as Karl said before, make sure it's integrated to the places where your users want to be to do the things they want to do. And if any of you are embarking on bots, regardless of whether you come and see us at the stand and chat about it, keep it simple. Go very specific use cases. If you want the IT help desk, do the IT help desk. Don't try and make it a HR bot. If you've got the HR bot, don't try and make it a finance bot. But when you do build all of them, how do you get a consolidated experience? So the other thing you can see out of us when you publish all of this stuff, oh, no, went back, didn't do it quick enough. And you've got the web chat UI here for a Bob bot, okay? What about if you can very easily say, well, when people come in here, they might start with Bob, but if across the top there was a little avatars of Bill, the HR helper, Frank, and I'm using male names for a reason, because bot builders in Silicon Valley are incredibly sexist. Everyone's a female for a digital assistant, in case you didn't notice. And Frank is the finance bot. And you can switch between them. It's called parallel chat experiences. So all the context is kept, so I can be talking to Bob about showing me my sales numbers, then I can jump off into Frank and ask him to check my expenses for the month, that type of thing, or from the one UI without overcomplicating the bot itself. Okay? So why do we show you all of that? And we're going to give you, 20 minutes time up. The digital experience platform is going to be about bringing all the stuff together in cohesive, relevant, contextual experience for your users, and ideally driven by users. That's the world we're going to, with stuff everywhere, different systems needing to talk to different systems, etc. The days of trying to do all of that in one system, that steaming pile of dung that Gartner refers to, right? If you still stick with that, you're going to spend a lot of money and probably not deliver the value on the technology and take advantage of it. So, thank you very much for that. Hopefully it made a bit of sense. If you want to come and see us, booth 387, We've got a disco set up. We've got a really cool light-up floor that does games and stuff. Come and check us out. I think there's expo drinks tonight. Have a chat. We can show you a bit more stuff, share a bit more things with you. But hopefully it's given you something to think about. And if you've got any questions, please yell them out. But thank you very much. Any questions? Oh, yep. So we're leveraging Graph to a big extent. Our API strategy is we've got a strategic partnership with a company out of Denver called Cloud Elements that do a unified API platform, similar to if you've heard of MuleSoft, but we think better. And that allows us to do things like, I didn't show it, but we've got one of those components I was dragging on. It's called Cloud Documents. It's a single component that can be configured to be Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive just by changing a selector. And you're going to see us doing a lot of that stuff both for bots and for the page product for marketing. Marketo, MailChimp, HubSpot, CRM, Dynamics, Salesforce, etc., help desk systems, etc., etc. And the bots will leverage all of that. I should have also pointed out, are there any developers in the room? I think we might have a few. Right. We're also going to give you both in our page product, we have custom capabilities where you can code all your own stuff and then make it configurable by users. Very simple. Similar to the old days of a custom script web part in SharePoint, but doing it client-side way and make it very, very simple. We're also going to have the ability for you to build your own custom abilities for the bots and then share them for people to add. So you might have a system internally, you want to work a way, we're going to give you a nice simple way to build that out, publish it, and it then becomes an ability available for users to add to their bots or to the department bots or whatever it may be. Any other questions? No? Make some sense? Yeah? Yep, cool. Well, look, take the early mark. It's not often you get free time at this space. And please come and see us at booth 387. If any other questions, we're here all week. And thank you for your time. Appreciate it.